And I just want to make, I will say, I will excuse myself with the other guests that are in this room, and they didn't do, of course, the 2 hours or 1 hour of explanation about the Palestine-Israel experience and the experience we will talk about today. But I just want to refresh a little bit the mind of the students that were with me in their classrooms. So, did you think now you have a better idea of what is Israel-Palestine? Yes? Can somebody tell me briefly 2 things about Israel and Palestine? Oh, by the way, these are all either students or teachers, so they know perfectly like how the way it goes to the class. So please don't be formal if I can, and don't be shy.
Who said yes to his question? No one said yes.
Well, I will start by myself. So we learned that in Palestine and Israel there is a conflict. Is it right?
Who says no?
Maybe somebody says no.
Yeah.
And we know that this conflict lasts from a long time ago. It's 70 years or more than 70 years that this conflict is in place. Is it right? And we know that Palestine-Israel is in South Africa. Is it right? Okay, sorry, I just want to see if you're attentive enough. And you're staying with me. We knew exactly where Israel and Palestine is. We talked a little bit. It was very difficult to say everything in 1 hour, so we talked a little bit about the political situation of these 2 states. State and not, let's call it territories, let's call it Palestine, Israel, it's easier. We talked a little bit about the experience of togetherness, so of being together, that Palestinians and Israelis have experienced. And today we are so lucky to have here in Bolzano 4 individuals who have tried through their life, and they are still trying, and they're still somehow they're succeeding in bringing togetherness and in trying to have common ways, Palestinian and Israelis. And here we have 2 Palestinians, the guys, and 2 Israelis, the ladies. So I will ask them to introduce themselves briefly and just to say a few words about them. And then we can proceed also with, I don't know if there will be directly question or with a little bit of dialogue. Sami,
yeah, good morning. My name is Sami Adwan. I'm Palestinian. I live in Bethlehem, and I have 6 children, 7 grandchildren, and I lived all my childhood under Israeli occupation. I was in Israeli jail for some time, and since 90s I've been working in peace building projects, where we were able to develop with my late friend Professor Dan Baron, the father of Professor Yaarah Bar On, this booklet where that includes the Palestinian historical narrative and the Israeli historical narrative. And that's based on what you were saying, Daniel, that both sides has to be able to learn the other historical narrative, to recognize it, to not to legitimize it maybe, but just to recognize it, to recognize there's other narrative exists. And if you look at the book, it's a very pedagogically designed. It's been used in many schools in Italy, in France, in Sweden, America, and Germany, but not much in the Palestinian-Israeli, context because of formal situation. I prefer to say that we have to work together, Palestinian and Israeli, more and more, to be able to overcome all our difficulties. It's no use that we continue this, I would say, situation, because a lot of people say it's conflict. And when we say conflict, we simplify things, that we are two equal fighting, but we're not. We are under occupation, and the Israelis still occupying most of our land, or all of our land. So this is kind of terminology we have to be addressed. For the Israelis, I would like to always remind you, still occupying me. We have the Palestinian Authority, but it's not really with authority. We try to reach peace, both sides, at the people level. Unfortunately, didn't succeed so far. So we live in a kind of a situation, what we call protracted and tractable, or I would say conflict now. So we do this. It's an educational process. So because we want the children of Palestine, the children of Israel, to be able to learn about the others. Both our education system are very selective. They don't teach about the other. They teach about themselves. We are the victim, they are the victimizers. We always do the right thing. For example, they do the wrong thing. Our victims are counted, their victims are not counted. Political geography, the maps, if you look at maps, in Israel you find only Israel from the Mediterranean to the sea. In Palestinian map, most of the map you see only Palestine. So this conflict or this situation has not to go forever. It has to stop. We need you to be active participants. You are the young, you are the future. Also the Palestinian Israelis are the future.
C'è un po' di confusione linguistica questa mattina, per fortuna che non ci mettiamo anche il tedesco, se no sarebbe ancora più complicato. Brevemente quello che ha detto Sami. Sami è appunto, come dicevo, un professore palestinese e lui ha vissuto l'intera sua vita sotto l'occupazione israeliana. Vi ricordate che abbiamo detto che in questo momento, come poi Sami spiegava anche mentre parlava, è giusto fino a un certo punto parlare di conflitto, perché il conflitto ci indica una giusta posizione, quindi che le due parti abbiano lo stesso tipo di potere e che quindi siano conflittuali rispetto a un obiettivo. In questo caso invece è bene sottolineare, e Sami lo sottolinea nel suo discorso, che non c'è questa corrispondenza, non c'è questa uguaglianza di potere, c'è invece quello che molti di voi anche in classe dicevano, disuguaglianza, a volte ingiustizia, perché Israele rimane una potenza occupante nel territorio palestinese. Come dicevamo, vi ricordate che con alcuni di voi parlavamo di Stato? Possiamo dire che la Palestina è uno Stato? Rispetto ai tre canoni dello Stato, il controllo del territorio, la Palestina, l'autorità palestinese ha il controllo del territorio e Sami giustamente dice l'autorità palestinese, che è il governo della Palestina, non è una vera autorità, perché questo potere di controllo non ce l'ha. Sami appunto diceva, tra l'altro Sami ha passato del tempo in carcere israeliano, quindi è stato incarcerato per motivi politici in Israele. Però dal 95, dagli anni 90, 95 you started with peace building projects? Yes. Dal 95 ha iniziato a lavorare in progetti di peace building. Peace building è difficile tradurlo in italiano, possiamo dire costruzione di pace, che suona abbastanza male, quindi teniamo peace building. E ha iniziato a farlo attraverso Dan Baron, che è il padre di Yaarah Bar On, che è qui con noi, che poi si introdurrà per sé, e ha iniziato a capire che la situazione così com'è, con questa parte occupante e questo divario tra israeliani e palestinesi, non poteva durare, non c'è nessun, lui dice it's no use, non c'è nessuna utilità, non c'è nessun beneficio nel fatto che la situazione rimanga così com'è. E il fatto che appunto la storia, come dicevamo con tanti di voi, la storia nei libri israeliani e palestinesi è raccontata solo da una parte, è raccontata solo da una prospettiva, e dopo magari riusciremo a leggere qualcosina del libro in modo da farvi capire esattamente cosa intendiamo con un lavoro di multiprospettiva. E appunto che questa situazione deve terminare.
Maybe we'll go on further later after the introduction.
Just a simple add-on. We were honored to be recognized by Alexander Langer Foundation because in 2001 we won the prize of Alexander Langer Foundation, and that's added, gave us so much support, international even recognition that help us keep going, working. And the book, the first book, was translated into Italian by una cita. It's called La storia, dell'altro. So if you have a chance to look at it, it gives you just part of the history, not all of it. But you have the access to internet. an alternative resource of information. Go exploit it. Go learn. Don't listen only to to the teachers or to me or to the newspapers. They don't give you the story. You have to search for it. And you have to develop what we call a critical reading of history, to be able to understand and to take the lead. And we have so much hope of you, because you are young, you are the promising future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please,
It's working?
Yeah. Yes,
Can you hear me? Hi. So I'm Yaarah Bar On. I'm the daughter of the late Dan Bar On. I was born in a kibbutz in the desert, and not far away from Egypt, on the southern part of Israel. And my father was a soldier. He fought the wars for Israel. We had the 6 Days War in '67, and we had the '73 war, and we were the winners. Israelis were the winners in both wars. But my father came out from the wars with the feeling that he cannot bear to be an enemy. And you know, Sami and my father were enemies. You understand that, right? There is a war between Palestine and Israel. But I think my father and also Sami, they refused to be enemies. Because it's so hard on your soul when you are obliged to be violent with the other. That was his main feeling. And he was moved by the sorrow and the pain of the Palestinian people. And after the assassination of Yitzhak Rabin, it's our prime minister, you know that we had a prime minister that was assassinated. Okay. So I just say shortly in '95, after the Oslo Agreement, that we now celebrate 25 years of the peace Oslo Agreement between Palestinians, when Arafat shake the hand of the prime minister, and then an Israeli Orthodox young person that was somehow brainwashed by ideas and ideologies, assassinated our prime minister. And both me and, of course, my father, we all felt like we have to do something. We cannot continue with our lives because someone is really trying to go violently against the peace process. And that's how we both came to the conclusion that people can meet each other. We cannot trust politics. Sometimes politics go good, sometimes it goes bad for us as peacemakers. We cannot trust it. We cannot sit quietly, passively, and just listen to our leaders. We need to do something. And we are the people, and each and every one of you, like us, can do something about our lives. We believe in freedom. We believe that any human being desires freedom. There is no one who wants to be oppressed. And we have to do something about it. And we do it together. Because you cannot do freedom for your own soul without the enemy. You have to talk to the enemy. You have to become friends. And my father, and I follow his legacy, his heritage, wanted to achieve people-to-people friendship. So it's not peace as ideology, it's friendship on the ground, just to be together. Because it's more interesting. It's fun to go to Bethlehem. I live in Tel Aviv. I like Sami to visit me in my home and in my college, near Nazareth, you know, near the Sea of Galilee, and I want to visit him in Bethlehem because it's fun, because I can do things that I cannot do alone. So this is basically, I think, the legacy of my father.
Thank you so much. Yeah. As I did come ho fatto per Sami, faccio anche un piccolo riassunto di quello che ha detto Yaarah, in modo che alcuni concetti ci rimangano. Yaarah appunto è figlia di Dan Bar On, che insieme a Sami è stato colui che ha ricevuto il premio Alexander Langer nel 2001. E a differenza di Sami, Yaarah è nata in un kibbutz. Kibbutz sono queste comunità solitamente al di fuori delle città, anzi sempre al di fuori delle città israeliane, che soprattutto negli anni 50-60 avevano un ruolo molto importante per costruire le comunità ebraiche israeliane nel territorio dello Stato di Israele. E questo kibbutz era molto vicino all'Egitto, quindi era molto a sud di Israele. Padre Dan è stato un soldato di Israele nella guerra dei 6 giorni nel 67 e nella guerra del 73. Entrambe queste guerre sono state un successo per Israele, perché Israele ha stravinto queste guerre, ha avuto un grandissimo successo militare, ma suo padre è tornato a casa dopo questa esperienza estremamente traumatizzato. È tornato a casa convinto che non voleva essere considerato nemico, non voleva che qualcun altro pensasse di lui: questo è il mio nemico. E questo rifiuto di essere il nemico l'ha obbligato a fare qualcosa in più, l'ha obbligato a imparare a non odiare e a non voler essere odiato. E ha provato quindi dolore per le persone palestinesi, per il popolo palestinese, e quindi da quel momento è cambiata la sua vita, è diventato uno psicologo sociale e ha iniziato a occuparsi di trauma, ha iniziato a occuparsi di guerre. Quando Yaarah ha fatto un excursus storico un po' da storici, che forse voi non sapete, ma quest'anno sono i 25 anni degli accordi di Oslo, che sono gli accordi che regolano il rapporto, più o meno regolano il rapporto tra Palestina e Israele. E sono degli accordi di pace, cioè sono considerati degli accordi di pace, anche se la pace non l'hanno ottenuta sostanzialmente. E il primo ministro israeliano che ha concordato questi accordi, insieme al palestinese Yasser Arafat, magari è un nome che può risultare familiare a qualcuno, questo primo ministro Rabin è stato assassinato da un israeliano a cui lei dice gli era stato fatto il lavaggio del cervello rispetto alla retorica israeliana, e quindi non poteva permettere che palestinesi e israeliani riuscissero a trovare una via comune. Questo giovane israeliano ha ammazzato il primo ministro, e da quel momento Yaarah, Dan e tanti altri, insieme a Sami, insieme a un gruppo di altre persone israeliane e palestinesi, hanno deciso che non potevano lasciare che le cose continuassero così, dovevano agire, dovevano fare qualcosa, perché non potevano più fidarsi, e Yaarah lo dice e vi invita anche a voi a agire e a non fidarsi solo di quello che di quello che la politica fa, di quello che le istituzioni fanno anche per noi, ma di agire in prima persona, perché la vera soluzione per riuscire a stare insieme è una soluzione che coinvolga le persone, che sia appunto si dice people to people, che sia qualcosa che nasca dal basso, qualcosa che nasca da noi direttamente e che non aspetti risposte che invece vengono create dall'alto. E appunto Yaarah dice: noi vogliamo la libertà per tutti, non puoi voler la libertà solo per te stesso. La libertà individuale non esiste, la libertà è sempre un concetto di comunità, è un concetto sociale, un concetto di socialità. E la libertà in Israele e Palestina, dice Yaarah, è anche la libertà sua di poter andare a trovare Sami. Loro vivono su due lati diversi del territorio. Sami vive a Betlemme e lei vive a Tel Aviv. E questo semplice fatto di andare a trovarsi, per salutarsi, per un caffè assieme, invitarsi in università, in una situazione di conflitto è impossibile o è molto molto complicato.
And you can read more in this leaflet on page 20, if you want to read it.
Adesso dopo questo
I come from a program called the Arava Institute, which Daniele spoke about maybe to you briefly last week. I will tell you how I got to the Arava Institute, which is a program in Israel, but maybe Shira will talk more about it. So I'm from Palestine, Palestina, and I grew up, as Sami said, under the occupation. So what does it actually mean? Maybe you know the word, right? You know what it means? Yes or no? No. Guys, come on. Yes or no? No. Very quiet in the room. You told me they will be active, man.
Oh,
They're very quiet.
I hope they will be active.
Well, okay, they'll be active after we finish talking. Okay. So what it means on the ground is that when I wake up in the morning and I want to go from a city to a city, which usually takes 1 hour. So yesterday we came from Rome. You go from Rome to Bolzano on the train for 5 hours, you arrive there, okay? But you know it's gonna be 5 hours plus minus a few minutes, right? So for me, in my case, I grew up, if I wanted to go from a city that you might know, it's called Ramallah, to Nablus, where I come from, if it takes 45 minutes to an hour, it may take 3 hours or 4 hours. And in some cases, I remember my dad would leave 6 in the morning and I would get home at midnight. I would leave Ramallah and come to my city, to our city, which is 1 hour. Usually, it may take up to 18 hours. Why is that? It's because there's something called checkpoint. So what is a checkpoint? It's basically a structure, a physical structure that divides cities. So there's nothing like freedom of movement. And that was very harsh, especially in the early 2000s. But also at these days, I think it's better if you translate now. We hear like some noises, it means that they...
Vado velocemente introduzione. Muhanad appunto stava parlando della sua esperienza e di chi è lui, e diceva lui e Shira sono stati entrambi studenti dell'Istituto Arava, di cui Shira magari vi parlerà un po' di più dopo. Anche Muhanad è palestinese, viene da Nablus, e anche lui, come ovviamente Sami, è cresciuto sotto l'occupazione. Occupazione noi sappiamo cosa vuol dire come parola, cioè comprendiamo il significato del termine occupazione. Spesso e volentieri non sappiamo cosa significa in termini pratici, cioè cosa vuol dire essere palestinesi sotto l'occupazione israeliana o cosa vuol dire essere comunque sotto un'occupazione di una potenza che non riconosce alcuni dei tuoi diritti. Vuol dire che, per esempio, ieri, faceva l'esempio Muhanad, noi abbiamo preso un treno da Roma e siamo arrivati a Bolzano. Sappiamo che ci impiegava 4 ore e 45, un po' di ritardo, 10 minuti in più, 10 minuti in meno. In Palestina lo stesso percorso, andare da 2 città diverse, andare da Ramallah a Nablus, andare da 2 città palestinesi diverse, non sai quanto può durare. Può durare 2 ore, può durare 3 ore, può durare 18 ore, può durare tutto il giorno, può essere che non ci arrivi proprio. E questo succede perché in mezzo ci sono quelli che si chiamano i checkpoint. I checkpoint sono dei veri e propri dei gate, sostanzialmente, quasi come dei gate all'aeroporto, tranne che non è sicuro che poi quel gate lo passi. Lo faccio continuare.
So for these checkpoints, they make your life very difficult. So if you need to go to attend a meeting and you assume that you will be there an hour and a half, it may take longer, you may miss the meeting. I remember people missing exams in my university, people who would come from outside the city to the university, they'll be stopped, they'll be questioned, and that would take so much time that they needed to miss their exams. So it can make life very, very difficult, and that's like one aspect of it. Actually, when I came to Italy, we came on Monday morning, so I had my flight 4 in the morning, so I need to be at the airport at 2, right? But we do not have an airport in Palestine, we're not allowed, so we have to cross to Jordan, we have to cross the border. When you cross the border, it's really funny. When you cross the border, you go through the Palestinian border, which is stupid, but you go through the Palestinian border, then the Israeli border, and then the Jordanian border, and you make it to the airport. So literally, you need to travel to be able to travel. And on this particular day, on Sunday, which is the day I had to go to Jordan, there was a Jewish holiday, and the Israeli border closed down because of the holiday. So it only opened for 2 hours. So what I had to do, I had to leave my house 6 in the morning on Sunday to catch a flight 4 in the morning on Monday. So I had to leave 22 hours, if I do the math correctly, because of that. And of course that makes you feel so tired. So when you live under these circumstances, I doubt that anyone wants to live this life.
Appunto rispetto all'occupazione, rispetto all'occupazione, rispetto a quelli che sono i checkpoint, tanto per fare piccoli esempi che possono essere anche vicini alla nostra realtà. Ci sono studenti che non riescono a presentarsi agli esami dell'università, semplicemente perché loro, per quanto cerchino di calcolare qualche ora il possibile disguido, vengono fermati, vengono interrogati, vengono semplicemente, non gli viene dato il permesso di entrare, e questo chiaramente rende la vita molto complicata. Faceva l'esempio Muhanad di quando è andato a prendere l'aereo per venire a Roma. Quanti di voi hanno già preso tutti di noi abbiamo già preso l'aereo in vita? Quante ore prima andiamo in aeroporto? 2, esatto. Più o meno anche quello che Muhanad diceva, sarei dovuto arrivare lì, il volo alle 4, arrivo lì alle 2, sono tranquillo. La Palestina però non ha aeroporti, quindi per volare loro sono costretti ad andare in Giordania. Per arrivare in Giordania, voi avete mai attraversato un confine dove vi chiedono i documenti? Ok, bene. Sono contento che molti di voi abbiano fatto questa esperienza, perché non è così normale in Europa si gira tranquillamente senza documenti. Considerate che Muhanad doveva passare attraverso la frontiera palestinese, la frontiera israeliana e la frontiera giordana, solo per arrivare, e questo è un unico confine, un confine che include 3 frontiere. Il piccolo problema era che quel giorno era una festività israeliana, una festività ebraica, quindi la frontiera israeliana apriva solo 2 ore. Quindi lui per arrivare in aeroporto è dovuto partire 22 ore prima da casa. Ha dovuto sobbarcarsi tutto questo viaggio che lui dice sei costretto a viaggiare per viaggiare.
Okay, so why am I bringing all these examples? It's because you've got all the reasons. For me as a Palestinian, I'm sure also for Israelis, and Shira definitely will talk about her experience in a minute. You've got all the reasons to just hate the other side. Just hate them, you wish them all to die, you wish them all to disappear, because it makes sense, it's simple. Someone is making you suffer, you wish them all the worst, right? You break up with your boyfriend, you want them to die in a car accident right away, right? It's simple. So what is more difficult is to really challenge yourself and try to work with the other person that you assume you hate. And here where the Arava Institute came into my life. I graduated from university. Do you need translation now or?
You can go.
Okay. So I graduated from university and the economic situation is very difficult. And of course the best thing that can happen to you is to find a job. So I got a job. It was also in Jordan, which is funny also. I got a job, but at the same time I got accepted to this Arava program, which is an Israeli academic institute. So I had to go and live in Israel. But when I had this opportunity to go and study there, people were like, oh, like you're going to study in Israel? Like you're going to be working with the enemy? You're going to be surrounded by Israelis, Jewish people? And that, really, when I was 21, was very difficult for me to handle all this pressure. I lost 2 of my best friends. I lost their friendship because of my decision to go and live there. But once you go there, it definitely opens your mind and broadens your perspective on things that you were not aware of. So for instance, again, I'm gonna bring the same example of the boyfriend-girlfriend. If you have a problem with your partner, you will be in trouble unless you speak about the problem. You talk about it and you understand why the other person did what they did. And same thing, like when I moved to Israel and I lived there, then you understand more things. And it does not mean that you have to agree with what they do. And then you also become critical about what you do. And what you have thought of absolutely right becomes questionable. So then you start to be critical about what you do and about what others do. So it all goes back to the point, my point here to conclude, is it's all about understanding and it's not about agreement. We do not have to agree. Me and Shira, if we speak politics now, maybe after 2 minutes, we'll be disagreeing on so many things, but it does not matter. As long as I can have my voice heard respectfully and in a safe environment, same for her, it does not matter anymore. Because it's all about understanding and it's never about agreement. And thank you.
E pare abbastanza, anche a Muhanad pare abbastanza scontato dirlo. Tutta questa oppressione, tutti questi problemi, tutte queste difficoltà rendono quasi automatico il fatto che tu alla fine arrivi a odiare l'altra persona, arrivi a odiare l'altro, colui che ti opprime. Lui dice giustamente se qualcuno ti rende la vita difficile, se qualcuno ti peggiora la vita, lo odi abbastanza, come faceva l'esempio, se ti lascia il tuo ragazzo o la tua ragazza, ovviamente non è che gli vuoi subito bene, all'inizio giustamente un po' di odio può esserci. Pensate se un ragazzo o una ragazza vi lascia continuamente per 70 anni, cioè se voi vivete questa cosa per sempre e continuate a viverla, cioè c'è un trauma continuo che va avanti. E lui dice la cosa difficile non è odiare, la cosa difficile è imparare a non odiare. E questo, guardate, è un passaggio diverso, non si intende amare, non è imparare ad amare, è prima di tutto imparare a non odiare, e qua entra in gioco il rispetto. E qui soprattutto entra in gioco per Muhanad l'esperienza all'Arava, a questo istituto che si occupa di studi ambientali. Lui, dopo essersi laureato, ha appunto avuto la possibilità di andare a studiare all'Arava, e lui è un palestinese, ha amici palestinesi e ha vissuto tutta la sua vita in Palestina, quindi per i suoi amici, anche per il suo circolo appunto di amici, era difficilissimo pensare che lui potesse andare a studiare dal nemico, potesse andare a vivere con il nemico, circondato dal nemico. E lui stesso ha perso due suoi carissimi amici, ha perso la loro amicizia durante quel momento. E quello che dice appunto è che la cosa principale all'Istituto Arava, e anche in generale, è la capacità di ascoltarsi, è la capacità di capirsi. E guardate bene, capirsi non vuol dire essere d'accordo, non c'entra la capacità di essere, non c'entra il fatto che io e te siamo d'accordo perfettamente su quello che ci diciamo, ma io e te ci capiamo, parliamo magari una lingua comune, riusciamo a ascoltare la posizione dell'altro. Lui diceva, se Shira e Muhanad in questo momento si mettessero a parlare di politica, ma probabilmente inizierebbero a volare gli stracci, in maniera positiva però, perché si capirebbero le proprie posizioni, si ascolterebbero. Poi, anche se non arriverebbero a un punto di accordo perfetto, perché è difficile, e questa è la cosa veramente importante, il capirsi.
Shira Leon Zchout. I grew up in the Galilee, a region in the north of Israel. Like Muhanad, I studied at the Arava Institute for Environmental Studies. It's a place that changed my life. I studied there for 2 semesters. It's an academic program. It's a program in the south of Israel in the desert. It's like an island of peace. It brings together Palestinians, Jordanians, Israelis, and international students to live together and study interdisciplinary environmental studies. So you live together in a small campus in the middle of the desert, and you start dealing with real life while being a student and while learning environmental studies. Do you want to just maybe emphasize the environment?
Yeah, of course. So, Shira è nata invece nella Galilea. La Galilea è la regione settentrionale di Israele, quindi nel nord di Israele, e lei dice che l'esperienza, anche lei ha studiato all'Istituto Arava, e l'esperienza le ha cambiato la vita. E Arava è un programma accademico, quindi un'istituzione accademica nel deserto. Voi immaginate una struttura che può accogliere 600-700 studenti, però in un luogo assolutamente isolato, desertico, al sud di Israele. E in questa circostanza ovviamente gli studenti vivono in un campus, quindi vivono tutti assieme. E gli studenti sono israeliani, sono palestinesi, sono giordani e sono internazionali, quindi con un bel mix di provenienze. E lì si vive assieme la vita di tutti i giorni, cioè si vive giustamente come degli studenti, preoccupandosi dell'esame che arriverà, andando a mangiare assieme alla mensa. Si fa una vita di studenti reali, però in un'isola di pace, in un'isola dove la realtà del conflitto non entra, o vedremo dopo come entra.
I will emphasize there's no place for Israelis to meet Palestinians if it's not in the military or not in conflict. So we do not grow up knowing the Palestinian, knowing the other side. And we hear them on the news and we are fearful of what they do and fearful of terror. And we grow up very distant from them, really strangers and enemies, definitely. And so that experience on a campus together create a community and create something different than what you came from, and you learn a different type of person. Now Muhanad is the real person. He has feelings and he has aspirations, and we can study together for exams, and we do things together, and we build trust. And at the program, after building trust, then while studying environmental studies, academically, there's also a program that puts people together in the same room for dialogue and peace leadership. And there you, in a safe place, in a safe environment, you can talk about the real things that can change the future. You talk about how you see the situation, and you learn from what the other they see. And you are able to hear that because you know that the person in front of you is also wishing good things for you, and you know that you can trust them. And taking that, you take that back home, and you take that for your life after. That's what happened to me.
Shira dice che in Israele, anche per spiegare ancora meglio cos'è la realtà di Israele e Palestina, in Israele non ci sono luoghi dove un israeliano può incontrare un palestinese. Questi luoghi ci sono, ma sono luoghi militari. Quindi gli unici luoghi in cui un israeliano va a incontrare un palestinese o vede realmente un palestinese sono luoghi di estremo potere, cioè sono punti di presidio militare israeliano. Quindi sempre da un punto di vista militare civile. E questo è un grossissimo problema, perché Shira e la maggior parte degli israeliani che vivono in Israele senza aver avuto esperienze di convivenza vedono solo il palestinese alla televisione o ascoltano le notizie e ne sono preoccupati, ne sono spaventati, il terrorismo, gli attacchi suicidi, la resistenza, sempre però in maniera molto negativa. Vedono e sentono l'esistenza del palestinese. Non lo incontrano mai, non sanno chi è un palestinese. E l'esperienza all'Arava gli ha permesso per la prima volta nella sua vita. Immaginate, you were 23 when you joined the Arava Institute? 21. Provate a immaginare che...
It was 15 years ago.
Ok, provate a immaginare che vivere in una situazione di conflitto e incontrare quello che hai imparato a chiamare il tuo nemico dall'inizio, incontrarlo solo dopo 21 anni che in quel conflitto tu ci vivi. 21 anni tutti voi non avete 21 anni, quindi sarebbe come se noi fossimo in una situazione di enorme conflitto e non avessimo mai incontrato, pur vivendo sostanzialmente nello stesso territorio, non avessimo mai incontrato un'altra persona, l'altra persona che noi consideriamo il nemico. E appunto Shira dice che all'Arava, all'istituto, costruisci il rispetto, costruisci la fiducia, e non la costruisci facendo grandi discorsi, la costruisci semplicemente perché hai un interesse comune, che è quello ambientale, e vivi assieme e passi insieme le tue giornate. In più l'Arava obbliga, nel senso, una parte del curriculum dell'Arava è questo seminario di peace building. Quindi è questo seminario dove gli studenti si siedono attorno a un tavolo e non fanno altro che parlare di loro stessi, parlare della propria esperienza come palestinesi, come israeliani, come giordani, come israeliani, della propria visione del conflitto, imparano a conoscersi uno con l'altro, a vedersi in maniera fisica per la prima volta.
The main strength of the Arava Institute, it brings people with a common interest for the environment. I studied there because I was interested in learning about the environment, and the same with all the other students that come there. So taking people, giving them tools and academic knowledge, and then sending them off. The vision is that of the region we will have many leaders in environmental movement, in the politics, and in organizations and institutions, all with a common interest of environment. And then we create a network of alumni that can speak the same language together and communicate and cooperate. What we learned in the Arava Institute, the main message was that environment knows no borders. We all share the same water, the same air, and the same resources, and pollution on one side of the border reaches the other side, and we all have the same challenge together. Water is a very scarce resource, and we have to find solutions together. And if we understand that, we learn from environment, and we implement that on our life, and water can be a source of conflict where people fight for that, but it could also be an opportunity to work together, and by working together gain trust, and from that to create stability in the region, We learned that from the European Union as well, and a joint work, and hopefully in the future, inshallah, peace.
Appunto quello che lega assieme gli studenti dell'Istituto Arava è l'interesse verso l'ambiente, quindi l'interesse ambientale. E la cosa importante dell'Arava è che l'obiettivo finale dell'Istituto è la creazione di un gruppo di professionisti ambientali che possano essere i leader ambientali della futura generazione, quindi possono essere quelli che fra magari 10 anni o tuttora adesso, perché l'Arava esiste da una ventina d'anni, da 20-27 anni, possano fare delle decisioni ambientali che comprendano Israele e Palestina, perché il vero motto dell'Istituto Arava è che la natura non conosce confini, perché per quanto tu ci disegni una linea sulla carta, per quanto tu ci metta un filo spinato, per quanto tu ci alzi un muro, se una parte è inquinata, l'altra parte è inquinata uguale. L'acqua, chiaramente capirete, in Israele e Palestina, che è una regione semidesertica, soprattutto in molti luoghi, l'acqua è una risorsa scarsissima. E l'acqua, chiaramente, magari l'avete sentito dire tante volte che l'acqua sarà il petrolio del XXI secolo, che ci sono le guerre per l'acqua, e questo tipo di visione come acqua, come una risorsa. Senza acqua non possiamo vivere, una risorsa necessaria che porterà a conflitti nel prossimo secolo. E dice giustamente Shira, l'acqua certo è una risorsa scarsa e è una possibilità per il conflitto, ma è anche una possibilità per la cooperazione, è una possibilità per fare in modo che su questa piccola risorsa, come ci ha insegnato, adesso forse ce ne siamo un po' dimenticati, ma come ci ha insegnato all'inizio l'Unione Europea, dove un problema come l'utilizzo delle risorse di carbone e acciaio, non so se qualcuno di voi ha fatto storia dell'Unione Europea, forse sì, forse no, in ogni caso l'idea iniziale era quella che le riserve di carbone e acciaio, che da secoli erano contestate tra Germania e Francia, nella parte meridionale di Germania e Francia, venissero messe in comunità, e da cui nasce l'idea della comunità del carbone e dell'acciaio, da cui poi dopo 50 anni, quindi ci è voluto un bel percorso, è nata l'Unione Europea. Abbiamo sentito un po', we listened a little bit to what our guests share with us. Of course they only shared part of their history, as Sami was saying, you cannot share the whole history, it's impossible. Io anche in italiano lascerei, se volete, il microfono a voi, se avete domande.
Volevo chiedere se c'erano differenze tra le lingue, se ci fanno sentire qualcosa.
She wanted to know a little bit more about the languages. So the difficulty is also in understanding each other by the language. And if you can say something in Arabic and in Hebrew.
I'll start and you continue. Okay. So the most famous word in Hebrew is shalom. Shalom, you know, peace, but also hi. We speak Hebrew. Hebrew is the biblical language of, you know, the Old Testament, and the Hebrew, a bit like the Italian, was renaissanced, was reborn 100 years ago. So it's a new language based on biblical times. But it was created with Zionism to create a new language for the new state. And most of the Israelis, we don't speak Arabic, even though Arabic is recognized as a second language in Israel, because inside Israel you have 21% Arabs, Palestinians. They were the same people living in Palestine and in Israel before the 48 war, and then before the 67 war. So we had a lot of Arabs in Israel. Now we have 21% of the population in Israel are Arabs, Palestinians. So they speak Arabic, we speak Hebrew. Most of the Palestinians in Israel, they speak both Hebrew and Arabic, and we study Arabic in school, but we don't remember much. I studied many times Arabic. I can say inshallah and yalla, and we know a lot of words that come from the occupation, like ruch min hun, iftach al-bab. But we don't know really the language, we don't know the culture, we don't know the literature, because it was the language of the enemy, so we didn't learn.
Tutto molto velocemente e poi chiedo anche a Yaarah di... I will ask you also to whatever you want. I won't translate.
I will understand them.
They understand as well. אני אוהבת אתכם. אני מקווה שאנחנו נוכל כולנו לחיות בעולם הזה בשלום. So I love it. You can translate. You can translate.
I love you. I'm very happy to be here. I wish that all of us live in peace.
He speaks Hebrew, even though he doesn't. We don't speak Hebrew together.
You say it in Arabic.
Yeah, I will say it in Arabic now.
But maybe he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to live in peace. I don't know.
السلام عليكم. صباح الخير.
صباح النور.
صباح النور. أنا مسرور جدا إني أكون معكم اليوم. أنا مبسوط جدا إني ألتقي مع طلاب وطالبات في سن الشباب، لأنه أنتم المستقبل وإحنا كثير بنآمن لازم يكون لكم دور كبير في البناء. I said good morning, peace be upon you. I'm very happy to be with you. You are the next generation. We have so much hope that you will be our leaders of the futures and to try to create peace and coexistence. Arabic language is a very Semitic language. It's very rich in literatures. All Arab countries speak Arabic, but with different dialects. It's the language of the Quran. If you want to understand the Quran, you have to read it in Arabic. It's not easy. The classic Arabic is very, challenging, and it's very strong. So what we speak, it's colloquial Arabic, we call it, so language of the day. It's not. And I would say large percentage of the Palestinians who live in Palestine know Hebrew, because they need to go and work in the Israeli factories or companies, etc. And it's very easy if you know Arabic to learn Hebrew, and if you know Hebrew to learn Arabic, because both are, please, Semitic language. That's important.
That's right.
That's very important to have. We both Semitic language, meaning that Jews and Arabs are from the same origin, more or less. Both.
We are cousins.
We are cousins.
You know that Abraham from the Bible, he had two sons, right?
Our grandfather, he's Ishmael. Their grandfather is Ishaq. So we're cousins. But unfortunately, we trap into this conflict. Learning Arabic language, it's a way to understand the Arabic culture. It's not only just the language symbols, but to get to know the rich culture of the Arabic language. I understand any Arab who speaks Arabic language from Tunisia, Algeria, if they speak classic Arabic or formal Arabic. Yes.
Dice appunto che l'arabo è appunto simile, cioè queste due lingue sono cugine perché sono lingue semitiche. Biblicamente sappiamo io no, assolutamente, però biblicamente sappiamo che l'immagine è quella di due popolazioni che nascono, che sono cugine una all'altra.
To speak the enemy language is a big challenge, like Muhanad was saying. He was just virtual studying the Arava. He was talking about his friend. In the Israeli society in the 60s and 70s, they were not allowed to study Arabic also. They studied for security reasons later on. Also in Palestine, we didn't imagine to study Hebrew. But I would like to say something in Hebrew and she will translate. אני למדתי קצת עברית בבית סוהר. אני הייתי בבית סוהר 6 חודשים, אבל אין לי זמן ללמוד כמו היברו עכשיו.
Oh wow, that's very good. I always knew that Sami speaks Hebrew. Sami said that he studied Hebrew, he speaks a bit of Hebrew. He studied Hebrew in the prison, in the Israeli prison. He was in the Israeli prison for 6 months, and that's where he got his Hebrew, but he didn't have enough time to study Hebrew properly. That now I add, if you will be more time in prison, you have a better time. It's a joke. It's jokes that we do all the time.
Sami ha detto una bella frase in ebraico.
Why are we always going to the relationship side?
You mean mixed up as Palestinian married,
Like,
Israeli?
Yeah, exactly.
Are you asking about only the Arava Institute or in general if there are?
In general,
Because I know it's actually a very interesting story. I'm definitely not mentioning the names. There is a couple of a Jordanian and an Israeli. Both are guys, and in neither countries you can actually get married. And they both had to go to another country in Europe to get married. Of course, culturally it was very difficult, and socially they were not accepted in all ways. And you know, having those relationships are very difficult. The problem is you might have some individuals who will be willing to or don't really mind having a partner from the other side. But if you look back to your society, you cannot imagine the backlash, the pushback, and the rejection for such a potential to grow. Are there some cases? Of course, there are. I even think that there was a case in Bethlehem, but like years ago, I think before 2000. And I think now they are in the US. A friend told me about this couple. But no, it's not something common. I'd be so surprised if I come across such a case.
But to get married, it's very hard. The families will resist, and there are couples, mixed couples and mixed children. And in Israel, I know a lot of couples who are Palestinian Jewish. Mainly, Jewish women marry Arab men, and sometimes they change religion and they go to live on Arab villages. And then the children are raised as Muslims and Arabs. I know also a few women on the Palestinian side that married Jewish Israelis, but it's very difficult, and sometimes they have to leave the family, and the family will not recognize them. So it's very hard.
Yeah.
Emphasize one more thing that from what Yaarah said. In Israel, Jews and Arabs live in different villages. They have a separate villages, separate towns, and separate school education. And only when they grow up after school, in academics or in working places, then they meet and interact. So some Jewish kids can grow up and be maybe 21 years old and not even met a Palestinian Israeli, unless maybe they go to the hospital or to different places, to the bank or whatever. So culturally and politically, it is not something very accepted to mix also in the community, because when they mix, they have to decide what side they choose.
Or they live in Haifa.
Very exceptional place in Haifa and a few other towns that have both Palestinians and Jews together.
This is a very good question, by the way, because I know a few cases where Jewish women married Muslim men. I'm talking about the West Bank, and most of them, they are, especially the women, outcasted from their family. They were rejected. They were just disowned, you know. Now it comes a problem to the children also. What children should use? If they married a Muslim man, the children should be Muslim, cannot be Christian, Jews. You know. So that's another dilemma. The other thing, even I would put it in a more political context. Even Palestinian marry Palestinian, they are not, let's say a Palestinian from Haifa married a Palestinian from Ramallah. The Israeli issued the law in 2011 against family union. So the wife has to live in Ramallah and the husband has to live in Haifa. There is no family union. The law forbids Palestinians to get married. It's politicals. Now the other thing is religion. I mean, religion is a very powerful there. Maybe we're not religious, but religions. In Islam, women are not allowed to marry non-Muslim until he is converted. But a Muslim man can marry non-Muslim if she doesn't have to be converted. Now the issue comes with the children. I met children in a nearby town who they don't know who they are. They live in different culture, different religious contexts, and they don't know who they are. Now they will be challenged about the issue of inheritance. Who are they? Are they Israeli? Are they Palestinian? Are they Christian? Are they Muslim? Even in Palestinian society, I just want to add one important thing. Cross marriages between Muslim and Christian in the Palestinian society is a taboo. You know, families get into serious fights. Maybe the girls will be killed or beaten because she wants to marry from the other religion. So religion is still a very strong, walls between people to mix through families. So it's very complicated. So those who would like to marry, they have to, even within the Palestinian society, Muslim and Christian, they have to bear the responsibility of being outcasted, disowned, they can leave. They are attacked. I know cases that, were killed, or girls were killed because they want to marry from the other religion.
Talk a little bit about A, B, C zone, but of course it wasn't difficult. It wasn't easy to say everything. So how does it work with documents? So does a Palestinian have a Palestinian identity card and passport? How is it recognized? We also work in the travel, I guess.
Can I go? I love these. Actually, I have all the. Which one do you want? So just to understand, Daniela, so I answered the question clearly. She's asking about how does it work in terms of legal papers that you have and what you use. Is that correct?
Are you on documents proving that you are Palestinian or?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. I'll give you an example. Actually, I'll give you an example if I ever find they're here. Is this working? All right.
Yeah, it's working.
One thing, a second thing, and I have a third thing. Well, that's up to you.
Muhanad ci mostra tutti I suoi documenti.
Actually, I should have one more thing.
Okay.
I will pass. Maybe I'll pass them around. But guys, please, I'm a Palestinian, so I'll be screwed if you lose them. Let's have one, and then I will. Actually, maybe there will be in Arabic, and actually this one is not very. Think about Israel and Palestine. And when we say Palestine, we talk about West Bank and we talk about Gaza. Okay, so I'm from the West Bank, and the two territories are physically separated. Okay, so in the West Bank, you have three different zones. You have A, B, and C. So Area B is under the Palestinian Authority, meaning that there is an entity, a Palestinian entity, that is a government that is responsible to manage everything in that area. And then you have Area B that is under the Palestinian control for civil administration, but for military administration or military affairs is under the Israeli authority. And you have Area C that is completely under the Israeli authority, and that's also within the West Bank.
Non so se vi ricordate, a qualcuno di voi l'ho detto altre.
Which is again the area under the Israeli control. In the West Bank is 60% to 65% of the West Bank. Does that make sense? Okay. So 65% of the West Bank is under the Israeli control. Meaning, if I have a problem, any kind of problem, as a Palestinian citizen there, I go to the Israeli police. Okay? And of course, there are very harsh policies against Palestinians, especially Bedouins, which is a group of people that have their own lifestyle, people that are nomadic communities. You can explain a little bit about it, how we make it closer. People are having very, very serious and harsh circumstances living there because in Area C is where the Israeli settlements are. So you aim to push these communities away, so you expand the settlements and you increase the areas that belong to the settlements. So you want to explain this and then I will get into the papers.
Li spingono fuori perché questa è l'area dei settlements israeliani, essendo nomadici via.
Quindi c'è un'espansione israeliana su quel territorio che proprio spinge, non solo spinge ai confini, ma spinge proprio fuori le comunità palestinesi.
Explain what kind of citizenship.
Yes, I was going to get into this now. Yeah. So what I have, where's the green card? The green, no, not this one. I have. Okay, so no, that's the passport.
That's the passport.
And there's another card. Oh my God, it's already lost. Okay, here it is. Okay, so the one with the young lady over there, that's my ID. Meaning it's like, you know, I don't know if you have IDs here, but in the US, for instance, you can have your driving license. I think the guys are really busy with the card now. Okay, so the ID is, I use it when I'm in Palestine. I use it there, okay? The other document that you have is like a passport, where I need to cross the border and, yes, here you go. When I need to cross the border and go somewhere. Now, for instance, when I usually like go to the US, I need a visa, okay? It's not like if I were an Italian, maybe one day. I need to apply for a visa. When I need to apply for a visa, I need to go to Jerusalem, which is in Israel, to apply at the embassy or the consulate. To get there, I cannot go to Israel with any of these papers. So I need to apply for something called a permit. I cannot just apply for a permit, I need to apply for something we call, it's a literal translation, it's called the magnetic card, المغناطة. So, I need to apply for a magnetic card, I need to get the magnetic card, and then I need to apply for a permit. And when I get the permit, I go to Israel to apply for a visa. And when I get the visa, I need to go to Jordan to fly. So good luck translating.
Allora, il processo è molto complicato.
The document that I also have to present at the Jordanian border. Actually, I'm not sure I understand its history, but it's a way to register the travelers probably.
Yeah. This card is, you know, a code. Yeah. We are people without identity, so that's why in the Jordan time we used to have Jordanian travel document until 1967. Now part of the Palestinian got Jordanian nationality, and they live in Jordan. You know, they have different card, white card. For those Palestinians who lives in the West Bank and different in Gaza even, they get this green. Mean you are not citizen of Jordan, but you are allowed to enter Jordan. That's the things. And now, according to, as a result of Oslo Agreement, the Palestinians were allowed to have a travel document. The Palestinians call it passport, but actually, as it's written in Oslo Agreement, it's a travel document.
Okay. Recent last thing you said, sorry.
But I have to mention something which is not obvious. Our passport is not valid until the Israeli validate it. This is very strange. That's why when we get a passport, before it's valid, it has to go to the Israeli places, I don't know where,
System.
Whatever system, and to be approved. For example, I got a passport today. I cannot travel. It has to go through the Israeli system, to enter the system, and to be, you know, part of the system, then I will be able to travel. That's another form of limitation of freedom of movement. So if I have a passport and it's not in the Israeli system, I will not be allowed to use it to cross the border to Jordan, or to use it to go to, even if I'm allowed to travel through Ben Gurion Airport, for example. And that's why our ID card, which is Israeli ID card, the same number, still print exists in our passport.
Il passaporto.
I don't know what's the regulation in Italy for me to be moved to live in Italy if I want to move. I don't know if I want to move there, but I would like to visit Italy and enjoy Italy. I think you have to ask to look at the migration laws and regulations of Italy, who is allowed to go on. We're not allowed to come and live unless we are refugees, humanitarian, migrant. I don't know what's the cases that they take. But for me to come and jump to the border and say, I want to be Italian, or live in, get Italian citizen, I think it would be difficult for us. Though we as Palestinians, we are very feel for that one day maybe the Israelis want to get rid of us, transfer, they should transfer. So sometimes we think, would it be better for me, not maybe for me, for my children, to have another citizenship so they have a place that they can go to? Yeah, I don't know.
Non sai esattamente quali siano I regolamenti.
Most of the Israelis have a European passport. We all go to take a European passport, EU passport. So my children, they have a German passport, and they might leave Israel one day to live in Europe because it's very hard to live in a situation of war. And I myself, I love Italy. And I love the mountains. And I do think from time to time, oh, let's live in Europe. It's so beautiful here.
I would say the Palestinian media is much more open and liberal than other media in the Arab country. That's general. But also, there's a sort of censorship, either inner censorship or from outside censorship, what to write and what to write. I think the Palestinian journalists are free to report to a certain extent, but not to the extreme. Whatever they have access to information. I think people now in Palestine, they don't really depend mostly in newspaper or official media. They depend on alternative information resources like internet, website, all these kind of social media. And in Gaza, even Gaza were under siege, we found out that about 80% of the people in Gaza, they depend on social media. There's certain restriction because of the political situation, and there's also some limitation if you want really to address or challenge the practice of the PNA, the Palestinian Authority. There's some kind of, but we don't have cases like other countries where reporters are put in jail, though some reporters in the last few weeks, maybe a few years, were detained for 1 week, 10 days, 5 days, but they died. But people have become very active in using the social media to challenge this. So that's why the PNA government cannot hold reporters because they are reporting something for a long time. They detained for 1 day, 2 days, and they had to release them.
In Palestina,
on the topic, it has a free media. Anybody can say what they want, and the journalist can cover any story. The last maybe 5 years approximately, there's been more and more government laws passed or being proposed to limit the media and to control the media by the government or prevent journalists of covering certain stories or even saying certain things. And it's not, what I understand, it's not so much that the laws are passed, but it is sending a message, a very strong message to the media. You should cool down. You should watch what you are saying because we're watching you in a way.
But the example for artists, for example, Amira Haads, she writes really
Rispetto alla libertà di stampa, ci sono...
I want to add 2 points. One is the concept of internal censorship. And in Israel, the censor is not very frightening, but you know that if you say things in the media, and I'm interviewed many times, you know that something unpleasant will happen. So you avoid yourself inside. You don't need someone to tell you. You tell yourself, I'll better avoid statements. That's one thing. And the other is that you have monitoring of the right wing. And those monitorings are really cruel. I mean, once I mentioned in the same sentence in a radio show, a television show, I can't remember, I said Palestinians and Holocaust in the same sentence. After 1 minute, I got phone call and email from the monitoring system saying, you know, you should not mention those 2 words in the same sentence. And it was really frightening.
But this monitoring, it's private thing.
Yeah, it's private. It's not
okay. Ci sono 2 problemi grossi.
I don't know who was the person that asked that question, but try to answer it from a different way. I remember one time in 2012 there was a war. I mean, there's always a war, but there was a war. Then I was living in Israel. I was at Arava Institute, and we did some very interesting activity. There were the events of the war, like day by day, and we split into groups. 2 groups. One would research the Israeli media, and one would research the Palestinian media. And you would notice that each group, so like the group that is researching the Palestinian media, are getting news to feed their narrative, like things that are covering the same event, but only coming from one side, you know, like nothing really, everything is biased. Same thing in the Israeli media, and this really shows you how important it is to have, you know, you have critical thing. I mean, I disagree with doesn't matter, but like I think it's very important that you have this critical way of presenting your narratives. And also something for me, I also would like to share briefly that also as a Palestinian, I'm not saying that everything is the result of the occupation of Israel, because there are things that we do as mistakes. Of course, the occupation is something big, but also we have our own mistakes. And I think what I'm trying to say here is very important to really look at the 2 sides and the two narratives. And that's the importance of having Yaarah and Sami here to share with us 2 different perspectives and how they can come along together.
I hope you are listening. Of course, Israelis are our occupiers, and they continue occupying and oppressing the Palestinians. And our freedom and our dignity has been violated. That's true. What is referred in that part of translation, correct, if that's what I wrote, is in the Israeli books, the Israeli only counted their own victims. They don't count the Palestinian victims. In the Palestinian textbooks, we count our victims. We didn't count the other side victims. That's I think the core. Of course, I have to jump out of this box. In any wars and conflicts, there always been victims, and there always be losers. You know, Israeli, because of their occupation, they get killed. You know, Palestinian, because of their resistance, they get killed. So there's victims also. In that sense, are all Israelis with the occupation? Maybe a certain percent are with this, but other people who are. I'll give you another example, and I hope you listen, all of you, because I was in Israeli jail, and we were in the desert, with no family visits, hot, scorpion, snakes all around us. You know, the desert. And what happened is this: we were in the cell, we call it cage, because it's Israel cage, and there's Israeli guard there up and, you know, guarding us, of course, guarding, you know. And sometimes we discuss who is controlling who. We are playing chess, cards, reading, walking in our cell, and he has to stand in the booth for 8 hours, 6 hours, maybe 4 to 6 hours usually. So you come to your mind, who's jailing who? Is he jailing us or we are jailing him? I'm meaning politicians, occupation, who support, I think they victimize both sides in different level. In different level. They lost so many people in the occupation and their expansion policy. It's like the American when they invaded Iraq, you know. They are victims, but they invade Iraq, but they send these black Latinos people to fight Iraq. So I think we have to move beyond this kind of political formula to see occupation is hurting Israelis is not as much, very little compared to the Palestinian. I cannot say. But is it hurting them? Yes. From the other side also, if you look at the Jewish ethic through history, and many Israelis knows about it, and there's many Israelis also fought the Palestinian rights. They have refused to serve in the occupation army, I call it. They call it IDF, we call it occupation army. They refused to serve in that army. So we cannot give a blank, you know, description or a stereotypical conviction. And it takes time for me even to go beyond the virtue being recognized that also Israelis are victims of their own victimhood. That's one thing. The other thing is also, they're very good, but that's need a lot of lectures. When the occupation took place, I was deprived from all my childhood. I was in curfews, I was beaten, my school was invaded, all this. I can't go on forever. But at the same time, at the level of maturity, I think you have to understand also what ideology that continue to put the Israeli in this position. In the long term, I think it's a big challenging for them to dislodge themselves from being so-called in this format as a victimizers, to be able to see they were also victims of the European genocide, you know. So how that, I mean, dilemma or paradox plays in the Israeli side. That's one thing. Now if we want peace, and we want peace, and the Palestinians are in need of peace because Palestinians are get killed to the every day. Every moment houses being destroyed, every moment Palestinians get killed, get injured, you know, with all these pretexts, our land being stolen, our water you mentioned, the Israelis steal, I would say, or take 85% of our water. We lived with 15%. 85% more, yeah. So this is a formula. Well, it's not a matter of argument, it's a matter of fact. The rich acquire first Bentley. The rich acquire first Bentley, but that's another issue. I just want to sum up. If you continue with this kind of formula, not recognizing the other side, victimization as small as it could be, you will not, oriented yourself to a peace-oriented. So that's why I want to close with the one sentence. I hope you help me answer. But
okay, let me translate this part and then I'll translate this. Yeah.
Just and maybe help you translate. I really beg the Israelis to get rid of their occupation mentality, and that we could enjoy and cherish our life. And I would say, you cannot be what you want to be until I be what I want to be. I cannot be what I want to be until you be what you want to be.